A shooting on the Wind River Indian Reservation is announced on social media by the victim. A federal government shutdown could shutter Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Parks. And a young mother narrowly escapes a deranged man in Cheyenne's Holiday Park. Bringing you these stories and more from Wyoming's largest news organization, I'm Wendy Kaur for Cowboy State Daily. A mobile food booth cook working on the Wind River Indian Reservation was shot Thursday afternoon. Then he posted a video of himself to Facebook immediately after the shooting and twice more from the hospital. The man, who was running the Facebook business page Brothers Wings, posted to the page that he'd been shot by a man who called him a racial slur. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland arrived on the scene Thursday afternoon after the victim had posted on Facebook that he had been shot.
I couldn't say for certain whether it was the same incident, even though I knew that this man had been selling food on the reservation. And that video surfaced the same time as the shooting was called in. But then another food vendor posted a video tagging the first vendor. And this man's video showed the whole scene from another angle so that I could identify it. I saw the BIA agents and cars. I saw the residents. I saw the food tent. And then I realized that we could confirm that it was the same incident I was at Thursday afternoon.
Federal authorities are not yet commenting on the case, and it was unclear how many shots were fired or how many times the man was hit. However, a notation by the Riverton Police Department indicated that two people were shooting at each other. Both were injured and both had weapons. With the federal government shutdown looming after Saturday, Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Parks could be all but shuttered up starting Monday. That or park supervisors could come up with creative workarounds to keep at least some services going. That's what Rob Wallace, retired Assistant U.S. Secretary of the Interior for Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, told Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines.
The Park Service, they do have a fallback. They do have plans for this sort of things. He said they just turn in their plans to the central office in Washington, D.C. about what they're going to do if, in fact, the government does shut down. Sometimes they can use alternatives such as just using gate fees to keep things temporarily open until the government gets rolling again, or they might have to shut some things down.
Amenities and services such as restrooms and garbage collection could be shut down. However, services needed to protect life and property, such as law enforcement, would probably remain operational, according to the Interior Department. In a brief email statement to Cowboy State Daily on Friday, the National Park Service said that if a shutdown happens, it will be business as usual Sunday, but the national parks will start to see the effects Monday. Chances of a shutdown continue to become more likely as Congress still remained deadlocked Friday afternoon over whether to extend federal funding beyond Saturday. A young mother tensed at the sight of the erratic man chasing cars down the road Thursday while she played in a sandbox at Cheyenne's Holiday Park with her toddler son. Little did she know that the disturbed man's attention would soon be focused on her and her 2-year-old little boy. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland said had it not been for the perfectly timed appearance of a Cheyenne police officer, Nicole Classy and her young son might have found themselves in real danger.
She noticed this man down the road chasing cars, shouting and waving his arms. And she was thinking, well, he's far enough away. We're probably fine. But he drew closer. And then after he noticed the mother and the son, he started chasing them. And she was carrying this boy in her arms so that nothing would happen to him because the man was throwing rocks. And so she was just trying to protect the little boy's head. Police showed up in the nick of time. The man was about 20 feet or less away from her, she said. And the Cheyenne police agents tackled the man and took him into custody.
Classy told Cowboy State Daily that not only did the police show up, they swarmed in with about 7 cars, and she said it was like a scene out of a movie. Cheyenne police arrested Joshua Aaron Reed at the park and recommended charges of public intoxication and throwing stones. I'll be back with more news right after this.
At Hilltop Bank, we understand that buying a home is a big decision. That's why we're here to be your trusted partner on the path to home ownership. Our experienced mortgage team will guide you every step of the way, from pre-approval to closing. We offer competitive rates and a wide variety of home loan options to best suit your needs. With our local knowledge and personalized service, you'll feel confident and comfortable throughout the entire home buying process. Contact us today to start your journey toward home ownership. Hilltop Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
When it comes to hiking and camping, even just sleeping on the ground in Wyoming's Grizzly Country, the most dangerous part of the endeavor is the drive to get there. That's according to Chuck Neal, a retired federal ecologist and grizzly conservation advocate. Neal has spent considerable time in the backcountry of Wyoming and the surrounding region observing grizzlies and told Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines that he feels much safer around the bears than he does in a vehicle to get to the bears.
He said, generally, it's pretty safe. He said sometimes he even just sleeps under the stars and isn't really worried about the bears because he knows the areas to avoid and he knows the things not to do, like, don't leave any food or any other temptations anywhere near where you're sleeping. And he also pointed out that campgrounds can actually be worse in the backcountry. The reason being that campgrounds have more people on them, and more people means more dumb behavior and more mistakes. Like, even if you take every precaution, the person next to you might leave a bunch of garbage laying around and the bears are going to come in after that.
Neal said folks staying in campgrounds might want to consider sleeping in their vehicles or stay in a hard-sided camper. But by taking a few basic precautions, such as keeping campsites clean, Neal said people generally can stay safe in Grizzly Country. And Yellowstone National Park might be one of the most beautiful backdrops for a wedding, and many people exchange their vows and rings surrounded by the park's natural beauty. But the national parks belong to everybody, which means everyone in a park during a wedding is technically on the guest list. Wedding crashers, whether they be photogenic tourists or native wildlife, are an inherent hazard for any Yellowstone wedding. That's why a recent sign proclaiming one of the park's most popular spots off limits because of a private function has many people speaking now and not holding their peace. The sign was a clear indicator that nobody other than the wedding guests were welcome on the landing at Artist Point, which is one of the most popular and picturesque spots in Yellowstone. Being uninvited to a wedding is one thing, but driving hundreds or perhaps thousands of miles to visit the national park to find it inaccessible is quite another. The national parks belong to all Americans, for better or worse, in sickness and in health. And that's today's news. If you're ready to unlock your daily dose of Wyoming, sign up for the Cowboy State Daily newsletter to stay in the know. Some of the best local reporting in the Cowboy State will be delivered to your inbox daily. Just sign up at www.cowboystatedaily.com. I'm Wendy Core for Cowboy State Daily.